Welcome to The Practical Intuitive, where each Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern, where host Robin Fritz explores mind, body, and spirit for the real world. Because we are all intuitives and healers, and we must all learn to love ourselves and live that love every day. Robin is a trained and certified intuitive and spiritual consultant and hypnotherapist with an international practice based in Seattle, Washington. As the Practical Intuitive, she covers personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice. It's all here. Readings, healings, and funny, warm, thought-provoking conversations. It's Robin Fritz, the Practical Intuitive, helping you mastermind body and spirit for the real world. No ifs, ands, buts, or BS ever.
Welcome to the Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. It's Robin Fritz, and I'm live in Seattle, Washington, Monday afternoon. Thank you for joining us today, and I would like to emphasize that each week I offer short, intuitive, and healing readings for callers or people who email me in meditations, conversations, and guests. So the subject changes each week. But you're welcome to call in with a question or comment or a request for a reading, and that number in the United States anyway is 202-570-7057. And if you have questions and comments or requests for readings for future shows, please email me, Robin, R-O-B-Y-N, at robinfritz.com. That's ROBYNFRITZ.com. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that is our animal families and how we can communicate with them, what communication looks like, what our animals are up to, and what our lives with animals looks like beyond telepathy. But first, I would like to remind you that I'm an intuitive and spiritual consultant and certified past life regression specialist based in Seattle and work internationally. And I work with a crystal, Fallon, the citrine Lemurian quartz. He's a rare ancient power crystal, a healer, and a truth bringer. So you can absolutely connect with him today during the show, because my work and my show and everything that I do is about helping you tap your own intuitive and healing abilities so that you can grow your soul, which is what we all came here to do, and have fun while you're doing it. So we'd like to start by helping you tap into this rare energy that is Fallon. As a citrine Lemurian quartz, he's a rare form of quartz, but you may see, if your intuition works towards clairvoyance, you may see him as a gold light. You may feel his energy. He may even jump in and have a conversation with you, so don't be surprised about that. And if your intuition runs towards knowing, claircognizance, just know that his energy is with us during this hour. So if you just take a deep breath and breathe straight into your solar plexus, and just feel that healthy energy jumping into your body. And as you exhale, just release the excess, whatever doesn't serve you. And as you breathe in, feel yourself getting grounded and balanced. It's what we call mind, body, and spirit coming together more tightly in your body. And as you do that, take your attention to the top of your head. And as you breathe down your face to the bottom of your feet, feel this energy running through your body and rapidly clearing your chakras. Top of your head, down your face, your neck, shoulders, your chest, your hips, your knees, and your feet. The top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And now as you imagine this gold light sitting outside your body and moving up your body will help open up your intuition and your healing abilities with us this hour. So moving up your feet, past your knees, your hips, your chest, your shoulders, your face, your third eye, and your crown chakra. So you may notice during the show or afterwards a little bit that your crown chakra is wide open, which means you might be a little lightheaded, in which case just put your hands on the top of your head at the end of the show and ground yourself back into your body. So, to the subject today, our animal families. Question, if you live with animals, why do you live with animals? What do you offer them from physical and emotional care to soul growth, and what do you get in return? I never stop harping, if you will, on the subject that too many people think of animals as gurus and animal bodies as teachers and healers who have come to save us from ourselves, to jumpstart our salvation, to do something extraordinary for us. And I personally think that's short-sighted. While we can learn many things from our personal animal families and the wild animals and the animals who live with other beings, including people, we entirely miss the point by thinking of them as our teachers and healers. Think of it as if you were expecting somebody to constantly heal you and support you, would you not feel energetically stifled as well as physically stifled? It's demanding and it's shifting the responsibility for our soul growth onto them, so don't do it, okay? Instead, think of animals that you live with as your animal families. Sure, as families, we're teaching and learning every day, all day long, back and forth. That's what families are for. But we're doing it equally, sharing, not requiring someone else to lift us up. And so what do we think of wild animals? Well, they're here doing the same thing we're doing. They're equal beings on a conscious, evolving planet, beings who have chosen animal bodies to do the work they came here to do, which is to grow their souls. That's always what we're here to do first, grow our souls. So there's another mindset out there that I find puzzling, and I'm bringing a special guest on here in a few minutes to talk with us about that. But this mindset, well, a version of that. But the mindset I was thinking about as I was preparing for the show today is a woman I met some years ago when I was out on the walk with my first two Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, Murphy and Alki. This woman stopped and she looked at the dogs and she was frowning. You know, my dogs were always clean, well, mostly, and always well-mannered. And I was giving them a treat, and it was cool outside. And Murphy, who was always chilly in the fall and winter and spring, was wearing a fleece jacket. And this woman was like beside herself. She was like, shook her finger at them and she said, "Those dogs are spoiled." She told me how bad I was to spoil my dogs and on and on. And then she marched off muttering, and I'm standing there like wide-eyed, kind of like, whoa, what side of the bed did she get up on this morning? But my dogs were looking at her, and they're looking at me, and they're wide-eyed and like, what's going on? So here's the thing, that I'm going to make a judgment here, which I try to tell people not to do. But she didn't appear to have an ounce of love in her body. She was one of those people who present as stiff and uncompromising. She's totally right and rigid in her view and not open to the tiniest bit of recognition that maybe her viewpoint was just plain ugly. So here today, this day after traumatic weekend in the United States and increasingly traumatic days around the world, what the place do ugly viewpoints have? They have no place. So, you know, my animals aren't spoiled ever, but they are respected. And that's where my work as an animal communicator starts and essentially ends, whether animals are alive with us here or dead. Respecting them is how I approach my animal family, and usually every being I meet, this woman did throw me for a loop there, so to speak. But is spoiling a dirty word to you, or is it a mindset shift that we're missing out on? Because I never thought of spoiling a being who came to live with me. I thought of respecting them, looking towards their needs. If my dog is chilly, a jacket is in order. That seems to be a simple thing. How do we behave in the world? And that's kind of what animal communication is all about too. Because, we talk about going out in the universe and looking for alien life and what alien life is all about. And the truth of the matter is they're already right here. Aliens are here. They're at our feet. They're with us on the couch, and we call them dogs and cats and fish, turtles, horses, whatever. But we never, ever stop to ask them what they call themselves. And that is really what animal communication is all about. It's respecting a being in an animal body as a being, as a soul on its path, that it chose an animal body for that journey, and that we owe that being respect. And it doesn't matter the body that it wears. What matters is how we live together as family members and how we interact and how we understand how those minds work. And that's why when I say animals are aliens and the aliens that are right here with us, what would we call them if we asked them what their names were? How do they call themselves? What are they up to? What are they thinking? And how do we misunderstand each other, and how do we grow in understanding? So that's what I teach in animal communication, and that's what's coming up in my workshops this week and next week, which I'll talk about at the end of the hour. But when you come together to create a family with other humans, with animals, what we're doing is creating space, sacred space, if you will, where we can feel safe and loved and nurtured and give each other the best chance to be our best, always, whatever that is. We pay attention to their needs and interests and our needs and interests and how they can match up or not, and how you deal with issues and where you go from there. So we'll be back after the break. Thanks for joining us today.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Change and growth are part of natural life and also part of your spiritual life. Everyone needs support and guidance, especially during life passages. Upgrade yourself with the Om Times Experts program. With Om Times Experts, you have access to the best intuitive coaches, spiritual teachers, counselors, astrologists, and oracles. Our team was carefully selected so you can trust. Find out more at experts.omtimes.com.
This segment of The Practical Intuitive is brought to you by Terry Kent of EmberstonePets.com. Years ago, Terry struggled with fleas and ticks on her 4 dogs but ruled out pesticides. Then she heard about raw Baltic amber. A fossilized tree resin, raw Baltic amber has been used for years in Europe to protect cats and dogs from fleas and ticks. Terry founded EmberstonePets.com 8 years ago to offer safe, organic, and beautiful pet collars that naturally repel fleas and ticks. How? The amber's aromatic properties are released into the pet's coat and spread by body oils from friction and body heat. The collars are available in several styles for cats and dogs, from kittens and puppies to giant breeds. Visit EmberstonePets.com, choose raw Baltic amber collars for your pets, and enter Om Times at checkout for free shipping. Order today at EmberstonePets.com.
I am Fidel Mshombo. I was born in a city called Bukavu in the Congo. We were a loving family, and then, boom! Everything that I had disappeared in a single day. People think that when you are a refugee and they resettle you to America, and all your problems are done. They don't understand that that's the beginning of everything. I was not born a refugee. I was made one.
It's time we welcome refugee families with open arms. Learn more at embracerefugees.org, brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. It's Robin Fritz. We're live in Seattle, Washington. And I'm talking about animal communication, and not just telepathy, but how we live as family members with our animals. And sometimes things change in our families, and I'm very fortunate to have a guest today, someone who's been a friend of mine for many years, and to talk about animals in our families. So Jody, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be with you.
Thanks. So I don't know if you could hear the show or no, but we were talking about animal communication, and not just animal communication, but respecting animals and living with them as family members, and the idea that some people think that how some of us treat our animals is spoiling them, and I consider it respectful and giving them the opportunity as animals to live full lives and meeting their soul growth responsibilities, whatever they are that they brought into the world. But living with animals is a very practical matter, correct? And you would know because you've bred animals and you currently have 4 dogs living with you, right, Jody?
That's right. I have
That's
four of my fur kids.
4 fur kids, right. So, Jody, when we were talking about this earlier, one thing that you've done recently is a really good example of paying attention to animals and their needs, because for our listeners, Jody recently moved from California to Oregon to be near family. And that involved moving all 4 of her animals, and there was a situation there where she couldn't have all of her animals together all at once. And now they're all together. But talk to us, Jody, about how you worked to keep your animals comfortable during the transition period from California to where they are now with you. What issues cropped up for you and for them?
Well, it wasn't always easy.
Right.
And though my Cavaliers just love everybody, so they didn't really have a problem. I have a mixed breed Lab and Weimaraner, and she's a little different. And the main thing was remembering that each one of my fur kids is different. They have different personalities, different things that they like and don't like. So I had to keep all of that in mind. It's been 3 months, and for a while there, I had 2 of my dogs with me, Paige, the Lab Weimaraner Cross, and Mariah, a Cavalier, who, because she is 15 and a half years old, I didn't think I wanted to leave her anywhere else. And then I have 2 dogs.
Go ahead. And at that age, too, she's got some health issues.
Yes, she does. She has heart problems. She's been on medication for a while. And my other 2 Cavaliers stayed with a friend, and they were doing really great. But then all of a sudden, Christy, one of my Cavaliers, decided she'd been there a month and she'd had enough. And she kept trying to dig out, trying to leave.
Right. And here's where we're talking about paying attention, as you did extremely well, paying attention to what's going on in their heads as well as the behavior that we're recognizing. Because your animals have been with you their whole lives, and all of a sudden they weren't together with you. And as you know, there's a couple of things we can do about that. We can sit down in an animal communication mindset and talk to them mind to mind to explain to them what's happening, why they can't be with you, and look at the variety of things that turns up, right, Jody? I mean, sometimes animals feel like they're being punished because they're not with you, that they did something wrong, or something's wrong with you and they're worried about you. And I'm not talking just about you. I'm talking about this is what happens when people go on vacation But in a more dramatic sense, what happens when you move households and you completely disrupted the life that they've known? And you've always been a very matter-of-fact person, so it was a matter of, hey, sitting down and working with each of your animals and keeping in touch with them physically as well as mentally through animal communication. So were there things that surprised you about this transition with your dogs?
Well, I
Moving
guess,
with them?
there was. Yeah. Between Christy and Tinkerbell, the two that got left with a friend, I mean, they were just outgoing, loved everybody, da-da-da. But it was totally different when it was at my house. When they were in another home, they did fine for a while there, but then Christy decided she was going to go home to me one way or another.
Right.
And so I just said, I'm going to go pick her up. Now, where I'm staying, I'm only supposed to have 2 dogs. So then I had 3 dogs. And I left Tinkerbell with my friend.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, Tinkerbell, after about 3 or 4 weeks, decided she was going to leave too. And so now I've got all 4 of them here where I am.
Right. And the people are understanding why you need them to be there, but and you noticed, and you're paying attention to them on 2 levels. You're listening to them intuitively, which you're excellent at, but you're also paying attention to their personality changes and how they were trying to run away. And yes, and then you have the extreme heat down there in Oregon, which no one was expecting, even the natives. And I know because you're right now in the area that I grew up in. 108 degrees is not what we expect in the summer down there, even when it's hot. But what are the things did you say to your animals? Give listeners an idea of what you said to your animals to help them be comfortable in the transition. And then when it became clear that they couldn't live without you being there, how you reintegrated them into the family. So what are the things that you talked to them about?
Well, to start out with, when I had to leave them, which broke my heart too.
Right, exactly.
It really did. I felt like I was abandoning them, and I think they felt the same. But I think I tried explaining to them what was going on. Well, then eventually, like I said, I ended up with all 4 of them here with me, which is fine. I have no trouble with that. But like you said, when it got really hot, poor dogs are just going crazy, and I have no air conditioning where I'm staying. I think I bought out all the block ice in this one little market down around the corner from my house.
Right,
and I had fans blowing over the ice.
So what were you telling your kids, like little jobs to do? What are their jobs now that are a little bit different than they were when you were living in your house in California? You're in a transition period. You're moving into a new house in late September, maybe a little earlier. What jobs have you given them? Because this is a big thing that a lot of people, clients who call me up and they are having you're not having behavior issues. You're having issues of your animals concerned about the changes and wanting to know when they're going to be settled again. So what kind of jobs did you give them to kind of help them work through the transition in a practical way?
I can't honestly say that I thought about I don't think of it as giving them jobs,
Okay.
They pretty much, I did ask them to look after each other.
Right, so there's a job.
Yeah, it is. But at the time, I wasn't thinking of it as a job myself.
What you were thinking of was, how do we keep people together? How do we keep everybody on an even keel and the old ones from getting so stressed that makes them worse health-wise?
Yeah, and being dogs, they like their pack. They wanted their pack. And that, I think, was the hardest thing for them because they were always used to 4 or 5 dogs in the pack. When I did pet sitting, we might have had 8 or 9 dogs in the pack.
Right.
That
way
they
back
accepted.
then. And their jobs
Yeah.
then were to be good citizens and good family members and model good behavior for the visiting dogs, which they did exactly. And now it's to be quiet and be together and hang in there until you get settled in your new home. So if you were
the job here pretty much is not to bark.
there you go.
You don't want a bunch of barking here, and I have to
be
say,
good citizens, right? But you're really
Yes,
good with training,
they've
so
done
that
well.
works well. So
Yeah.
you and I we worked together in the past on a lot of issues, including animal communication, and we team up a lot to do lost animals. So if you were giving somebody advice on how to talk with their animal family during a transition like this, what would you talk to them about? Like having a little gathering of the family, telling them every day, here's another day that goes by. What kinds of things are you doing, and would you advise people to do in a transition?
Well, what I do is, what I did in this case, with my dogs, got them all together. We sat down, and I started talking to them. Some of it was verbally, and some of it was like mental telepathy. I could hear them.
Right.
I can hear
Right.
them. I can hear
Yes.
and feel their feelings. I could feel their anxiety. So we talked about it and that it was going to be totally different, but I would be there for them. And unfortunately, 3 days after I got moved, things kind of changed. And that's when I was kind of felt like I was abandoning them, I had to do what I had to do.
Right. Things
But,
don't always go the way we plan, which
No,
is
they
another
don't.
way of, well, and in your case too, you did a tremendous job of creating a family with your animals so they understand their ups and downs and talking with them. So I guess, Mike, we'll be back after the break for just a minute to wrap this up. Hang on, Jody.
Okay.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Join Vibe Nation radio host, international psychic medium Carrie Turcotte, as she guides her listeners to rediscover themselves by accessing the keys of knowledge that already exist within. Each week's show is divinely orchestrated to intertwine with the universal energies, allowing the listeners to go deeper within. At the end of each show, Carrie will tap into the energies of the listeners and give a message from Spirit about the upcoming week. If you really want to get to know who you truly are, join Carrie each Monday at 3 p.m. on Vibe Nation Radio.
This segment of The Practical Intuitive is brought to you by Aubrey Wallace, ND. Whether you have a chronic health issue or simply want to feel your best and be your best, consider an appointment with Dr. Aubrey Wallace, a naturopathic physician and medical intuitive with an international practice near Seattle, Washington. A third-generation healer, Dr. Wallace uses her extensive training and an intuitive approach to help her patients find what's really keeping them from the healthy, balanced lives they deserve. Her compassionate approach treats the whole patient, body, mind, and spirit, using therapies from homeopathic medicines to energy healing. She helps you as her patient to love being you. Dr. Wallace works in person or by Skype. Learn more about her work at lovebeingyou.info. Mention this ad and receive 15% off a medical intuition session. That's Dr. Aubrey Wallace at lovebeingyou.info.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
13.
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. He realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. It's Robin Fritz. I'm in Seattle, Washington, and I'm talking with my friend Jody about not just animal communication, but the emphasis today on animals as family members and the practical daily things that we go through. In Jody's case, it's moving her entire family from one state to another and then in a transition period while she's waiting to move into a new house. So, Jody, you were saying that you sat down and are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So, you were saying you sat your kids down and you talked to them.
Yeah.
And for listeners, intuition runs towards feeling, hearing, seeing, and knowing. Jody's an extremely strong clairaudient hearing person, but you also feel their feelings. So you're explaining to them that things were going to be different for a while. So now what are you talking to them about the new house? What are you saying to them, and what are you getting from them about moving into a new house?
They're excited. They're excited to have a yard that they can go in and out of and run around in, where I'm at now, they really don't have an area to go running around in. It's go out, go potty, and get back in. But I discussed that part with them, that they may not all be able to sleep on the bed at one time now. Smaller bedrooms, so that might be a little more crowded. I've discussed a lot of things with them, and
that's awesome.
They kind of laugh at me sometimes, but I think my biggest thing when I talk to people is understand that these are beings that do understand what's going on. They do understand that if you respect them and give them as much respect as you would expect them to give you, don't think that it's just a dog or just a cat or a horse or whatever. Bird makes no difference. They all have feelings, and they all will respond to you if you take the time and let yourself just relax and just listen. You'd be surprised the things you'll hear that are such little tiny voices until you get used to listening for them.
Exactly. So I appreciate your joining us today, and that's what I want people to take away from today, that respecting your animal families and not looking at them like that lady was yelling at me on the street, you spoil your dogs. It's like, spoil is not a word in my vocabulary. Respect is. And that's the first step towards really learning to communicate telepathically with animals, and that's what we will learn in my workshop coming up this week. So, Jody, thank you for joining us today. Good luck to you and your kids, and we will talk again soon. Goodbye.
Okay. Thank you, Robin. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. So now I would like to bring in Terry Kent of AmberstonePets.com and thank her for hanging on with us here. Terry Kent is one of the sponsors of my show, but she makes this product that I bought before I asked her to advertise. It's Raw Baltic Amber Collar, which is a natural flea and tick repellent. And it's a beautiful collar on top of it. So Terry, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Robin. Thanks for having me.
Hi. Sorry to keep you waiting there, but appreciate it. So let's recap a little bit and tell people why you created these raw Baltic amber collars, and you started in 2009, if I recall, correct?
Yes, I've been doing this for quite a long time. Way back then, one of my dogs, I had 4 dogs at the time, came down with Lyme disease, and I was on a couple of different groups on the internet and just researching the best way to take care of that disease. And someone mentioned having a natural repellency of the Baltic amber, and everyone's like, what? And I did a bunch of research, and they were ordering them from Europe, and I did some research, and I ended up making some of them myself, and everyone was so interested. It just took off, and ever since I started my own business making them because they work so well.
And what's amazing is I always think I know so much about things, and I didn't even know about these collars till I ran across your ad in a magazine. So Ollie has, the Lava Rock collar. So tell us briefly about some of the different styles, because one thing I don't think people realize is these are like fashion statements as well as natural flea and tick repellents. So I tuck Ollie's hair underneath his collar when we go out so I can show off how pretty his collar is. His has lava rocks and turquoise, which you put in special for him considering his world work, and the raw Baltic amber. What did some of the other collars look like?
Well, I make several different styles, and the best way would be go to my website, of course, and look at them, but they're all beautiful. They all have the raw Baltic amber, and then just for different styles, I put in different colored beads, or like in your case, the turquoise or the lava rock, which people really enjoy because they can put some of their own essential oils onto the lava rock.
Right.
And, also help. I think we had talked about, you kind of want an idea of price.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I briefly looked at that, and the smaller ones, like for a cat or a small dog, say like a little Yorkie or a cat, they probably run around $25, and then they go up. I believe your Ollie is 20 pounds, and his was like 40-ish.
Yep, that's right.
I would consider that a medium. And then the larger ones, which are probably a 16, 17, 18-inch neck, they can go up to 50 plus some dollars. And like I said, there's just so many different styles, and I can make them basically however you want. And another big plus is I can also make human necklaces to match your dog collar, or human anklets or bracelets.
I know, isn't that cool? Because we could be like matching. I've got to do that so I can match. But then I'd have to do something too, because we're going to be making one for the kitten coming up here. She's almost full grown now. I'll have to match both Ollie and the kitten. But the thing of it is, people are. Ollie got a bath on Saturday, and we have had 2 weeks of extremely dense smoke in Seattle from forest fires in Canada. And I couldn't stand it anymore. The air cleared out Sunday finally. But I gave him a bath to just get off the smoke that naturally got on him from walking. And I took the collar off, and I was just admiring it because it's beautiful. But the thing is, 2 things that I think people need to understand. It sounds expensive, but these collars act as natural flea and tick repellents for 2 year. That's what you said. People are learning that they last 2 years, which means if I was giving Ollie a flea and tick. Now, we don't have ticks right here in West Seattle because I'm a city girl and I don't allow things like that in my neighborhood. I say that in all seriousness. But fleas, yeah, everybody has fleas. But a flea drop for a month is $20 on a dog Ollie's size. So it's really an economical purchase, plus they're cool looking, right? But we also
pesticides, right.
Right, you're not using the pesticide, and it's not heavy, so it's not bothering him. It's not weighing him down any. But he also wears a regular collar with all of his tags on, because these collars are strictly for show and for flea and tick remedies, not for using for a leash or for hanging dog tags on. Right. So we want people to know that. So as we're running into our advertising time here, but one of the things that Terry and I are talking about is the original remedies that everybody knows raw Baltic amber is for, which is anti-inflammatory, which is pain relief. Correct? So we're talking about you expanding into a variety of necklaces for people for pain relief, which is also a pretty awesome idea. So just tell us a little bit about pain relief. And Ollie's a young dog, so he's not suffering from arthritis at this time, but I'm thinking of this in the future because both my previous Cavaliers had really bad arthritis issues, and it turns out raw Baltic amber is good for that.
Yes, I don't know. A lot of people probably have already heard of using raw Baltic or Baltic amber for teething necklaces, for teething for babies. They've been doing that for years. I mean, as many years as I can remember, and it's becoming more common. I think people are grasping the natural things rather than once again the chemicals and things like that. But
going back to natural remedies.
A lot of bracelets and necklaces for people that have actually emailed me and say, well, do you make them for people? Because I've heard they're good for arthritis. And yes, I have made a lot of them. And I get a lot of, positive feedback. And I had one on my dog for many years when she was getting older and had a hard time, with her joints and stuff. And one of the people that I sold it to, they said, it makes my dog calmer when she wears her amber necklace. So there's a lot of good properties, coming off from that raw amber.
Maybe the dog was more mature than Ollie. He's the wild one. He's only 2. Well, Terry, thank you for joining us today. And to wrap up, I want people to know that if you go to amberstonepets.com, Terry's got a whole page of all the different styles for your dogs. Plus, she makes them all by hand, for when the order comes in. So if you have a special need, she can help you with that too. And if you put Om Times in the order form, you can get free shipping. So, Terry, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Robin. Bye now.
Take care.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fox, host and astrologer of The Astrology Show. Each week, I'll give you access to the current transits, which are a valuable tool that provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has. Understanding the stars can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, be sure to tune in to The Astrology Show for guidance, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
This segment of The Practical Intuitive is brought to you by Rosie Gremmert at ICanDoHardThings.com. When was the last time nothing was holding you back, physically or emotionally, from the good you want to do for yourself and for the world? If you want to feel great and make it last, Rosie Grimmert will use her decades of experience and expertise as a certified essential oil therapist, certified holistic health coach, and certified grief support specialist. To create the best version of you, just email Rosie at icandoheartthings.com and put Om Times in the subject line. You'll get access to Rosie's exclusive I Can Do Heart Things 30-Day Courage Dare and get 25% off all purchases. That's Rosie at icandoheartthings.com.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it, and you can hear it repeatedly without feeling anything. But when we introduce a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural or inborn response from you. Save the food, because 40% of all food in the US never gets eaten. Save the food. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com, brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. I'd like to thank my friend Jody for coming on today and talking about animals as family members, and my sponsor Terry Kent for talking about those wonderful flea and tick remedy collars, raw Baltic amber collars. But to wrap up today about animals and animal communication, and I don't pull any punches when I talk about what I believe in, and I do not believe that animals are teachers and healers any more than we are theirs. Certainly, we learn from each other, but when we're talking about living with animals as family members, we're talking about a give and take relationship in just the same way as you would with your human members of your family, but with one exception. Our animals are animals, so they have species and behavior and personalities related to their species, but also to that individual. So we're learning to live with little aliens, so to speak, and learning to communicate with them involves understanding how they behave as a species, how they behave as an individual, and what might be going on in their minds that we're not thinking of because they're animals and because they're independent little beings. And so when you live a practical life, and as you moving, as Jody explained, she's getting ready to move and she's talking about the new house and sitting them down and talking to them just like you would to each other, to other humans, is a step in actually creating this deeper and more satisfying and more efficient relationship with your animals, because it can also give you a heads up on emotional problems, physical ills, any kind of thing like that. So with that, I'd like to invite you to join me into my 2 animal communication webinars coming up. You can learn more about them at the Om Times Experts section, experts.omtimes.com/Robin Fritz, ROBYNFRITZ, this Thursday, August 17th. My class at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 Eastern. Get ready for animal communication. And we're going to sit down, we're going to talk about the practical aspects of going to a foreign country, which is like sitting down and talking with your animal and learning some basic practical tips and techniques to get ready to talk to your animal. So taking away, it's a free webinar, but you're going to take those tips and techniques and work with your own animals during the week. And then on Wednesday, August 23rd, a paid webinar, Animal Communication and Our Animals. You'll bring that information back to the webinar, and we're going to work together one-on-one on what you learned from your animals. The other participants will also be listening as your animals join us. I will be giving you my feedback on what your animals are saying. So by the time that webinar is done, you will have a great idea of how to proceed in deepening your relationship with your family by learning to communicate with them telepathically, mind to mind, which is what animal communication is. So we'll have a lot of fun together, and please go sign up right now. And also Thursday, August 24th, one of my big passions is seeing people grow into their full potential as humans here right now. And one of the ways that people are doing that is with past life regression. So my webinar on Thursday, August 24th at 4 Pacific time is you will actually experience a past life regression. So I will talk about the different forms of past life regression, intuitive, shamanic, and what is called soul regression hypnotherapy, and how they work, the pros and cons of each, and we'll actually do a brief past life regression in the webinar so you can actually experience it. So it's a $50 webinar, but it's very low cost for an actual past life regression, and I'll be with you right there, and at the end of that we'll talk about your experiences. So if you're curious about what past life regression is, what it can do for you, because it's not just healing fears and phobias, it's tapping into past life skills and talents that you had that you can bring forward and use now. It can give you insight into why you chose your current life and help you deal with current issues in your life by looking at things that you were thinking of as you came into it. It's just fascinating. And I have seen people walk away from a past life regression session having healed a traumatic issue that they've been dealing with their entire life, and literally in 2 hours got up and walked away without that issue anymore. It just blows me away at the growth that I see in people. And that's what we're here for, right? Soul growth. So upcoming from those webinars, I have up on my page at experts.omtimes.com/Robin Fritz. Wow, it's a long thing to remember. I have 16 webinars up right now through the end of the year. And I'm going to be talking about things other people don't talk about. For example, the multiverse is real. So we're going to talk about, are there really aliens out there and dragons and Bigfoot? And the answer is yes, but not in the way you think they are. And what the multiverse actually is and how you really don't want to go there. And I can say that from personal experience. But we're also going to be talking about space clearing, clearing yourself, clearing your space, how to resolve grief and connect with your dead. There's just so many different webinars up there. So please join me at that experts page. Take a look at it and then email me. What are you interested in looking at in a webinar? Using intuition in business is another one coming up. So there's just a lot of different topics for a lot of different interests, and I'd love to see you there, joining me there. So today, as we wrap up, I'd also like to thank you for joining us, and to join me every Tuesday morning Pacific time at 11 a.m. at Facebook Live at the Om Times Magazine page. I swear I'm going to figure out why Facebook Live keeps accidentally cutting off my videos, but tomorrow I've had so many emails and so many questions about terrorism and the fear that's in the world right now. Tomorrow we're going to do a healing around that. So please join me tomorrow, and we will talk more about upcoming webinars. But today, as we get ready to close out, I want to thank all of you for joining me, and please email me with questions and comments, things that you'd like to talk about on the show. If you have an intuitive question or a healing issue you'd like, email me at Robin, ROBYN, at RobinFritz, ROBYNFRITZ.com, and we will cover that in future shows. But as we get closer to ending today, there's a goddess that I work with, and literally she had to basically thunk me over the head and insist that she was a goddess because I didn't believe her. But she's taught me a lot about working with non-humans, including beings from different solar systems and across the universe. And she's a fertility goddess, and not in the way you're thinking of as fertility, but in terms of growing your ability to be your best self in the world. And she taught me a healing technique that I use at the end of every show and every Facebook Live and every workshop that I teach. And it's very, very simple. Cross your hands together and place them on your heart. And as you breathe into your heart, just feel this universal energy, this ancient DNA of the universe flooding into the palms of your hands. And that's one place where a lot of people can feel energy. And as you breathe into that, then breathe into the palms of your hands in front of your mouth, and then hold your hands, your palms outward to the planet, to the universe, and allow that energy to go wherever it needs to go. This energy is sentient. It knows what it's doing. Just bless it on its way. Then cross your hands again on your chest. And this is for your healing. This is for your peace of mind in troubled times. Breathe into the palms of your hands over your heart. Then breathe into your palms. And breathe love and respect for yourself first and foremost. Love and respect for your animal families, for your human families, for your friends, for people who aren't your friends, for your neighborhood, your city, your country. And then hold your palms out and then place them back on your heart to bring that energy back into your heart. Peace, good fortune, and thank you for joining us today. Goodbye.